Hi there. My name is Angie Mellor, and I am the elder sister of Gaynor. And I'm here to tell you something about myself and my family. I am 23 years old and work in the Tokyo Investment Bank over in Canary Wharf. I have been married to Patrick Marshall since November 2022. Pat works as a project engineer for J. Walter Hall, who are a London-based civil engineering contractor. He tries to get home most nights, but just recently he has been working up in Birmingham. I'd be telling lies if I said that he enjoyed it, but sometimes in life you have to do things you don't like. I worked in Santander Bank a couple of months ago and was going nowhere. Sometimes you just have to take a chance. We have a house that sort of overlooks the sailing club on the river. It was quite an expensive property, and Mum and Dad helped us get the deposit together. And if you want a really nice story, our Gaynor chipped in as well. Our Gaynor is at college, therefore in reality the only money she gets is a weekly allowance from my dad. I came in from work one night to find an envelope on Mum's kitchen table. Mum told me that one of Mason's mates had dropped it in. And Mason is our Gaynor's boyfriend. The envelope contained £7,000. It was such a beautiful thing to do. We were looking at losing the house. Give me a couple of seconds while I have a sip of tea. The estate agents were a bit underhanded about it all. And they'd received a much better offer, which was £7,000 more. Pat, can you turn that fan off, please? We had been gazumped, and it was Mason's way of sort of ungazumping us. I could probably tell you dozens of similar stories. Our Gaynor has more or less moved out of Mum and Dad's and is living over in Hammersmith with Mason. Me and Pat have stayed over at theirs a few times. That is an experience. The last time we were over there, we didn't get in until 4. Some guy was coming onto our Gaynor outside the Deli Belly, and Mason slung him through the window opposite. You had to be there. It turned out it was some knocking shop. 5 minutes later, there were around a dozen half-undressed Pakistanis out in the street, with this little fat guy in his undies threatening Mason. Mason threw him through the very same window that the first one had gone through. There were around 20 faces in the window, the Deli Belly, looking out into the street. Owner of the Deli Belly came out and shout over to Mason. There's bodies strung out on the street everywhere. This man in the dicky bow is out on the street taking Mason's order. And he tells Mason they have run out of meat samosas. Well, that's just brilliant, isn't it? There is police outside everywhere, sweeping up the mess. And the owner, Farouk, is running around trying to placate Mason. Mason tells Farouk it's fucking pointless coming here if you haven't got any samosas. Our Gaynor's there pointing and telling him, just order something else, Mason. Then a policeman comes into the curry house looking for the person who's thrown these people through the window. Farouk tells the policeman that it was some black man who ran off. The policeman then tells Farouk that he was told that the man was white and came in here. Farouk tells him, yeah, they're Pakistanis, you can't believe a word they say. The policeman says, aren't you Pakistani? The next thing. Farouk flips and starts shouting at the policeman. And whilst this is happening, Mason cops some people on a table opposite eating samosas. Well, that was it. He wouldn't shut up. Oi, fucking Dixon of Dock Green, he shouts. The policeman just looking with this blank expression. If you're nipping out, will you fetch me some samosas? policeman says, "You what?" And Mason tells him, "And make sure they're fucking meat samosas." Well, that was it. We couldn't stop laughing. Mason's either Mr. Deadpan or as high as a kite. There really is no in-between. All he did for the rest of the night was moan about there being no samosas. I made us breakfast the next day, and he was exactly the same. It was that bad, Mam actually nipped out and bought him some from Tesco's. If you ever needed anyone to calm Mason down, it is definitely Mam. Be a good lad for your future mum-in-law, she'd say. And then she'd give him a big hug.